Get ready for the woman affectionately known as your financial physician. Dr. Cosette is an advisory accountant and tax expert, international speaker, and philanthropist. She's on an unapologetic mission to globally transform lives and bank accounts of women. Dr. White is the resident Money Matters expert on Fox 40's television network. She's delivered to organizations such as Capital One, Microsoft, USC, and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, plus more. She's a 5-time best-selling author and the first African-American woman to debut 5 personal and business finance books in one day. President Barack Obama awarded Dr. White the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. Her smile is sincere, her insight is profound, and her impact is life-changing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Cosette M. White.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys? Happy Saturday. I am extremely excited because I'm going to be talking to you guys this morning all about taxes and the new changes and everything that comes along with them. So I need for you guys, first of all, let's get situated. I need for you guys to first make sure you have a pen, make sure you have some paper, because I have some interesting information that I need to share with all of you this morning. All right. So it is tax season. Welcome, 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 welcome to tax season 2021. Listen, you guys, it's so much going on with this tax season. And as you have probably seen from so many of our professionals, we're saying, hey, put the brakes on, slow down, stop. All right. We are serious about that. We mean like put the brakes on, because a lot of you guys are not in tune to all of these credits that are going on. So I am here this morning, this early Saturday morning for me, educating, empowering, and showing you guys or teaching you guys about some of these credits that you need to take advantage of. All right. So first of all, I got to ask you guys a quick question and say, it's time for us to get our SHIT together. Yes, it's time for us to get our shit together. Now, wait, hold up. Wait a minute, because I don't want you guys thinking like, what is Dr. Cosette talking about? Listen, y'all, I'm talking about getting things in order, like our household, our salary, our investments, our taxes, those types of things. I'm not talking about what y'all talking about. So like, get your head out the gutter, okay? I'm talking about our salaries, our homes, our investments, and our taxes. All right. So today, as I just said, we're going to be talking all about taxes, all about these new credits that are going on. All right. So before we even jump into that, you guys heard a little bit about who I am, but for those of you who don't know who I am Dr. Cosette M. White. I am America's #1 tax advisory and tax expert. I am the CEO and president of My Financial Home Enterprises. We are a boutique firm here in Oxnard, California, sunny Southern California, and we specialize in tax management, tax planning, tax preparation, as well as servicing our business clients with things such as CFO services, industry benchmarking, KPIs, accounting services, bookkeeping, profit margins, looking at where the money is at and how we can help our business owners really grow their organizations. And of course, we offer other business services. So with that being said, you guys have a little bit of information about me. I want to know, where is everybody chiming in from this morning? So let's do a little bit of roll call. I can't see, but I tell you what, let me see if I can find you guys over here on social media. Where are you chiming in from? Are you on the East Coast where it's a little cold, you know? Are you in the South? Are you here on the West Coast? Where are you? Where are you? Let me know. I just want to know where you're chiming in from. Or maybe you're like some of my clients who are out of the country. So just let us know where you are chiming in from so that I have an idea who I'm talking to, and how I can help you all. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this started. Who, first of all, one second. Who, first of all, just drop a 1 in the chat if you are ready for this tax season. Drop a 1 in the chat if you are ready to get your taxes done. You're ready to run to your tax person. You're ready for that refund. Like maybe some of you even ran to your tax person with that W-2. If you did, guess what? We cannot prepare taxes with your paycheck stub. We cannot prepare taxes with paycheck stubs. We, as professional tax preparers, must have your W-2 and legal documents. Okay. So if you went to someone and they like kind of snuck, they kind of gave you a preliminary number, guess what? We are not supposed to do that. Okay. So let's get that out of the way. We must wait till our W-2s come in and all of our official tax documents, you all. Okay, so that's number 1. So if you're ready, great, because I'm ready to give it to you guys. All right. So first of all, let's jump into this first credit that I want to talk about. Many of you called my office, and you probably called your tax professional's office as well, wondering where your rebate or your stimulus check was. Now, the government issued stimulus checks back in the summer, early summer, late spring, and then they just issued them earlier this year at the first couple of days of the year. So some of you still haven't received the last check that was issued, or maybe you didn't even receive the first check that was issued. And I know because my phone is constantly ringing, I'm still getting the emails asking, is there a site that we can go to verify? How do I know if I'm going to get it? How do I know if my son or daughter is going to get it? They filed a return, they didn't get it. Listen, here's what the government has done. We have something called the Recovery Rebate Credit. And if you did not receive one or both of the stimulus payments, then guess what? You have an opportunity to recoup the payment when you file your 2020 tax return. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone is going to get that credit. Of course, you have to fall within the eligibility criteria. Your wages for 2019, had to file or be within a certain threshold. So if you were outside of that threshold, then of course you are not going to get the rebate. All right. You're not going to get the stimulus check. You will not. But if you were within those confinements of 75K and below, then you should have received your stimulus check. If you did not, then when you go to your professional, you need to take to them a form that the Internal Revenue Service should be sending to all taxpayers within the next couple of weeks that will outline how much you got on check number 1 and check number 2. If you did not recoup all of your stimulus funds, then you have an opportunity to recoup the difference on your 2020 income tax return through what we call the Recovery Rebate Credit. Okay. Now, here's an incentive for those of you that maybe had some little babies, some little infants, some kids last year. Anyone that had a child in 2020 has the opportunity to also pick up a portion of the credit for the newborn child. Of course, what do you need to provide your tax professional with? Of course, if you had a newborn in 2020, you want to ensure that you have the Social Security number. You want to make sure that you allow ample time for that Social Security number to register in the system, especially those of you that maybe had a child in December. My niece had a child in December the last couple of days. So you want to make sure that your Social Security number is registered with SSA in a timely fashion. I have no idea how long it takes for that information to upload, but if the number is not in the system, when you go to file your taxes, then your return will reject because your newborn's information is not in the system. Okay, so let's remember that. All right, so on to unemployment, you guys. Last year was a terrible year for so many of us. And then last year was a great year for many as well. Okay, so not everyone had a terrible year, but for some, they found themselves on unemployment as a result of this global pandemic. So, what I want to share with each of you, because some of you don't know this, but unemployment is taxable income. You heard me correct. Unemployment is taxable income on the federal level, but it's not taxable on your state level. So if you're in Atlanta, if you're in Maryland, if you're in California, Arkansas, wherever you are on a state level, the unemployment is not taxable income. But guess what? To the IRS, that is taxable income. And for some of you, because I've been getting this question, is that considered earned income? No, it is not earned income. Earned income is income derived typically from our JOB, the job, when we receive a W-2. So what does that mean for some of us? Number one, it means that we got to pay taxes on the wage, on the income that we received as a result of being on unemployment. Now, every single one of you, no excuses, every single one of you had the opportunity, and you still have the opportunity if you are receiving unemployment wages, to check the box to have wages deducted from your unemployment check every week, every 2 weeks, however it comes out. Okay. So if you are currently receiving unemployment and you don't have taxes deducted, I highly encourage you to check the box to have the taxes deducted. If you didn't for 2020, well, guess what? It's too late. You can't go back. You will be paying taxes on those checks that you received. Okay. So just know the taxes will be, you do pay taxes on them. The money that you receive for the stimulus check, that's not taxable income. Okay. That's not included in your income in which you need to pay taxes on. So just remember that. All right. So those of you that received unemployment, and maybe you're typically used to getting what we call the earned income tax credit, the government has done something to assist the taxpayer so that if you typically receive earned income credit, or maybe you're receiving it for the very first time, or will be receiving it for the very first time as a result of your earned income being lower than normal, guess what? We have something that called the look back provision. It's called the look back provision. So here's basically how it works. The government will allow us as tax preparers to look at what you made in the prior year, meaning 2019. So we know that earned income credit is based on a couple of different things. It's based on the number of dependents you have. It's also based on the amount of earned wages that you generate in any given year. So for 2020, most individuals went on unemployment back in March and probably stayed on unemployment for the entire duration of 2020. So if I'm speaking to you and you went out in March, April, May, whenever you went out, and your earned wages are lower in 2020 than they were in 2019, then we as tax professionals have an opportunity to calculate your earned income credit should you qualify for it by looking at your 2019 wages. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we're not going to look at what's the best option for you for your earned income credit, and that's if you qualify. Okay. But we have an opportunity to still look back at what you made in 2019. And here's the reason why. It's based on the amount of wages that you make, earned income credit. The higher you make, then the credit will be higher. So if your wages are a lot lower in 2020, then that means that your earned income credit will be a lot smaller. It'll be reduced compared to the prior years. So it's called the look back provision. That's the bottom line. Make sure you take your 2019 tax return to your tax professional. If you are going to a new preparer, we will need to see those returns. And bottom line, whenever you go have your taxes done, make sure you take your prior year so that your tax professional can look at the return and see if there was anything that was omitted from the prior year to get you back additional money. All right. So, I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I need for you guys to put the brakes on, and we really want to make tax filing a breeze for you guys. And the reason why so many of us professionals are, you see us on social media, we're sending out communications to our clients, is because we really, really, really want to make this tax season a breeze, because there are so many things going on, so many credits, so many changes, and we as professionals, we have to stay up to date because things are changing daily. Just imagine what's happening with the PPP loans, the SBA loans. That information is changing daily. And so we are staying abreast to all of the information as it's coming to us, and we're feeding it to you guys. So we're really asking you guys to be patient and don't rush to your tax professional, because number one, you don't have your unemployment statement. You don't have your unemployment statement. It hasn't come in the mail. Most states are behind with sending those out. And for those of you who just found out, or maybe you're finding out right now, the new date to file taxes has been moved all the way to February 12th. So for those of you who typically rush and get them done the last couple of weeks of January, some of you have already sent your W-2s into us. But guess what? We can put that information in, but we cannot officially hit the button to send that information to the Internal Revenue Service, to send that information to the state agencies. They're still in the midst of getting their stuff together before we can actually hit the button. Everything is changing. Okay, so don't rush. Make sure you are fully prepared when you go see your tax professional. Make sure you have all your ducks lined up so that when you see them, and probably you won't even be seeing them this year, you'll probably be sending your stuff into them virtual, because most of us have gone virtual. All right, some are seeing tax clients in the office, and they're using, the guidelines, stay, social distancing, the guidelines set by CDC. But a lot of us are seeing our clients virtually. All right. So that means that either you're uploading your information, sending it to them electronically, or somehow, some way. But my point is, slow down, because we want to make this a breeze for you guys, but we need your cooperation. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about before I get into the big one that I really want to share with you guys. So make sure that you stay tuned to the end, because if you are self-employed, you definitely don't want to leave. Okay. If you are self-employed, you don't want to leave. You want to stay to the end, because there's some information that you need to hear. All right. If you can use 15,000, then there's an opportunity for you to get the 15,000 and I got to say this, if you are eligible. Everybody is not eligible to receive the 15,000, but I am going to deliver the information to you and share it with you. So just hold on. You got to stay the full through the full live. Okay. So just know, to all of my small business owners, the IRS is stepping up their game, and they are doing a lot of audits this tax season. Okay. So make sure that your record keeping is tight. That's all I got to say. Make sure that your record keeping is tight. Make sure that you have backup to support every single item that you put into your income tax return. I've already had, I think I've had 3 small business clients audited. Okay. So it's not just because we're putting information in correctly, but the IRS realizes that there are a number of small businesses that are popping up. And so they have put together a task force to go out and do additional audits for small business owners. So make sure, you guys, I cannot stress it. Other tax professionals will communicate the same thing to you. Make sure that you have sufficient backup to support everything that you put into that tax return. Okay. It's nothing like getting a letter from the Internal Revenue Service saying, we need for you to pull these items for meals, for travels, for automobile, etc. We need for you to provide the backup. We need this information uploaded, or we need you to call our office. What's happening now is that they're not seeing clients in the office due to the pandemic. So you have to upload your information, and a lot of stuff is just done electronically. So save yourself a headache, save your preparer a headache, and make sure you have the documents. And if for any of you, I always encourage all of my clients, make sure you get some type of audit protection. Okay. Most professionals offer an audit protection plan. And if in doubt, I'm telling you guys, make sure you take advantage of it. It will save you a headache as well as your professional a headache. All right. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Quick question. Are you a small business owner? Are you a sole proprietor, contractor, single member LLC? If that's you, I am talking to you right now, and I need for you guys to listen up very carefully, because the Internal Revenue Service, the government, has put together what we call a refundable credit. It is a refundable credit that is available to all of our independent contractors, our sole proprietors, anyone who is a contractor, anyone who files a Schedule C, anyone who works for themselves, self-employed. You are eligible for this credit. But there are certain criteria that you must meet, and you must have the backup to support what I'm about to share with you. Okay, you must have the backup. So I'm gonna tell you guys, some of you guys are gonna try to abuse it, but guess what? Guess what? Those of you that try to abuse it will probably be the ones that end up with an audit. Okay, so here's how the credit goes, and it's called, let me jump into it, you guys. It is called, one second. What it is the FFCRA Act that went into effect back in March. And what it basically states is that if you lost work as a result of taking care of yourself or taking care of a child or a family member as a result of COVID, then you are eligible for a few credits. Now, what it is those of you or anyone who had the coronavirus, the doctor said that we had to quarantine for 14 days, right? We had to go in an area and isolate ourselves and not be around anyone for 14 days. But what these credits are doing, what the government is doing, is offering or giving a credit. And I'm going to break it down to you guys. So if you had to take off of work, if you're self-employed, you had to shut down, you couldn't come into the office and do anything as a result of a federal, local, or state ruling that said you had to isolate, you had to shut down, you had to quarantine, or you had the symptoms and the doctor or a professional said quarantine or isolate yourself away from anyone for 14 days. Then number one, you as the individual are eligible for a credit. You as the individual are eligible for the credit if you were self-employed, meaning you're independent contractor, meaning you're a sole proprietor, meaning you're doing a Schedule C. If it was you, then you are eligible for $511 credit, a $511 credit up to 10 days. Now, even though they said we can quarantine for 14 days, you as the individual are only eligible for up to 10 days of credit at $511. So let's do the math. 10 times 511 is $5,110, right? So that's if you, as a self-employed individual, had to quarantine, the doctor put you on isolation or quarantine, said you couldn't be around anyone for 14 days. I keep saying 14 days, but the credit is only up to 10 days. Okay, 10 days is what they're giving you. Now, on the flip side, if you had to care for your son or daughter or a family member, a son or daughter, then the credit is a little different. It's still only granting you as the independent contractor, the self-employed individual, is granting you 10 days of credit, but the dollar amount is $200. So if you had to care for your son, you had to care for your daughter, you had to care for your husband, a family member, and you're self-employed, and you have proof. That's a critical component of it. You must have the proof to show that you qualify for this credit. The credit is $200 per day for 10 days. So that's $200. 200 times 10, I'm sorry, that's $2,000. 200 times 10 is $2,000. So let's do the math. I already told you 511 times 10 is 5110, $5,110. This here is $200 times 10 days. That's $2,000. That right there is $7,110, which is a refundable credit. And again, this credit is specifically, I'm going to say it one more time, for my independent contractors, my self-employed individuals, those that file a Schedule C, my sole proprietors. This is specifically for you. Okay? Now, hold on, because there's more. Now, if you have a son or a daughter under the age of 18 and either the school closed down or maybe the daycare closed down, then guess what? Guess what? You have the opportunity, again, if you are a Schedule C, independent contractor, sole proprietor, you have the opportunity, or you qualify, I'm going to put it just like that. You qualify to take 50 days. What is it? 50 days. I'm sorry, you guys. I thought I had the number. Wait a minute. It's 50 days, up to $200 per day for 50 days. Okay. So let's do the math. 50 times 200 is 10,000, right? So if you're an independent contractor, you do a Schedule C, you sole proprietor, and you had a sick child or daughter under the age of 18, the school was closed, the daycare was closed, you couldn't work, or maybe, it impacted your work somehow, then you are eligible, if you can prove it, for up to $200 per day for 50 days. That's $10,000. Okay. So I said you guys are all eligible for the credits. However, you must provide your tax professional with sufficient backup. All right. I'm not going to just take your word. I need to see backup, and hopefully your tax preparer is not going to take your word, because guess what? You will probably be the one that will be audited because you put all of this in your tax return, but you did not provide sufficient backup. So the credit is available to you if you meet the requirements, you all. All right. So I only gave you guys a top level. I didn't give you all the nuts and bolts as to what this credit entails. So here's what I'm going to offer you guys, or here's what I'm going to throw out to you guys. If you guys want the full detail on this credit, all you need to do is text the word COVID. Text the word COVID to 805-506-4334. Text the word COVID to 805-506-4334, and I'll send you the full outline, the full details on what you need to do in order to qualify for this credit. All right. So now y'all see why we said put the brakes on, because this is new to us. It just came out at the end of December, and we as tax professionals had to read up on it, take a few courses on it, get knowledgeable on it so that we can give you guys the information. And as I just said, I gave you the top level. I didn't go into the nuts and bolts as to what are some of the finer detail and requirements, but I need for you guys to know so that you can maximize your tax bill. Okay, maximize your refund, minimize your tax liability, not stroke a check to the Internal Revenue Service. But let me say this. Let me just say this. I've done some studies. I've put some numbers into the system. Anyone on average who typically owes, has a tax liability of, say, $39,000 based on revenue of 163. It was about 163, 173 on the IRS, somewhere the tune of 39,000. By the time we put this credit in, excuse me, the tax liability reduced to about 24,000. Okay. So if you like giving your money away, then be my guest. But if not, then you need to read up. You need to understand how you can recoup if you're eligible. I got to keep saying that because everyone is not eligible. I didn't get sick. None of my family members got sick. So I will not be putting that on my tax return. But A lot of you have children under the age of 18. The school was closed, the daycare was closed. And so you have the proof right there. Now, if anyone was sick, that's a whole nother ball game. But remember, we don't want to put information on the tax return that's not true. But most self-employed individuals probably do have school-age children, 18 and below, and they qualify because the schools were closed and the daycares were closed. Now, keep in mind that not every state was under the quarantine. There are 5 states that were not under quarantine, either the full year or partial year. So that may mean that you don't qualify if you're in one of those 5 states: North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Arkansas, and I don't remember the 5th one, but there are 5 states that did not comply. I'm not going to say comply, but they weren't under the quarantine for the full time or partial year. All right. So just remember that. Text the word COVID to 805-506-4334 if you would like to capture all of the information on what this credit, this refundable credit entails. All right. If you're eligible, just send me a text and I'll send this information over to you guys. All right. So I would like to open this up for Q&A. But before I open this up for Q&A, I'm going to open it up for Q&A for about a few minutes. So let me see if I can see any questions here. Let me see. Good morning. Hey, Monica. Hey, Marilyn. Hey, Miss Phillips. Hey, Rochelle, Raquel, Shanae, Paige, Danielle from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Soror. Tanji, Regina, Kabibi. How you doing, Kabibi? I haven't seen or heard from you in a while. Yes. Rashonda. Hey, Rashonda. Gabby, how are you, Gabby? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Let's see. Joanne, Tamara. Okay, so let's see. How does the SBA loan affect taxes? So that is a really great question, Kabibi. And what I'm going to share with you guys, because I'm not so much doing SBA, but I am going to jump over to Clubhouse after this, and we are going to be addressing a lot of questions, and there are some hot seats over in Clubhouse. So that question, Kabibi, we will be addressing over in Clubhouse. But basically, if you did receive an SBA loan, the SBA loan, meaning not the PPP, but SBA, that is not taxable income. Okay. Number one, the loan itself is not taxable income. It is a loan. It is a note. And so your accountant or you should have that on your balance sheet as a long-term note. Okay. It's a long-term note. It's a 30-year note. It should be over there. Anyone who received those loans, let me just say this. If you hang on to that loan for 30 years, then shame on you, because that means that you're going to be paying a lot of interest on those loans. If you can pay it off soon, I strongly advise all of you to do that. Just pay those loans off as soon as you guys get an opportunity to do that. But if you hold on to them, even though they had a low interest rate, guys, if you hold on to those loans for the full 30 years, then you're going to be paying a lot in interest. Okay. So, let me see. Marilyn, what if you fall into self-employed and you were considered high risk health-wise? Again, if the doctor advised you to take off of work or anything like that, and you were under the doctor's care, then you could potentially qualify for that, Miss Marilyn. And again, what I would suggest is text the word COVID, because the finer details are all in that paperwork that I'm going to provide you guys with, that text the word COVID. But if you were considered high risk and you were under doctor's care, or they asked you to quarantine, they ask you to isolate yourself for 14 days, 10 days, whatever it is, then you may be qualified, then you may qualify for it. But again, you must have proof. You must have notes from your primary physician or whomever you went to for the care, for the treatment, if you had COVID or the coronavirus, someone in your family had the coronavirus. Okay. Let me see. Would someone qualify for the credit for SBA if they still worked? Okay, first of all, Paige, your question, would someone qualify for the credit for SBA? Well, first of all, I don't understand your question, but I believe what you're trying to say is, will someone qualify for the credit if they had a job and their employer, they had a job and the school was closed? First of all, you have to be self-employed. So if you had a job and you took off of work, then that's another credit, and that's on the employer side. We're talking about independent contractors, someone who work for themselves. If you work for yourself and you had a job and you had to take off, again, the what you guys need to know is you must have sufficient backup to support any of it. If you're independent, if you have the backup to support it, then you may qualify. But you must, I can't say it any clearer. You got to have the backup. That's the bottom line. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to get to all these questions because I'm looking on StreamYard. What if you fall? Okay. Great information. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. What I'm going to say to you guys is, and here's the next question. I need for you guys to pull out your cell phones. And pull out your cell phones. If you have an Android, I want you to put an A in the thread there. If you have an Android, I want for you to put an A in the thread. Let me see. Let me look at who has an Android. Put an A in the thread if you have an Android. And if you have an iPhone, then I want for you to put a I in the thread. If you have an iPhone, I want for you to put an I in the thread. So Marilyn, you have an Android. Paige, you have an Android. Rashonda, you have an Android. Okay, and where are my eyes? Do I see any eyes? Tamara, you have an Android. Okay. So we got some eyes popping up. Hey, Timothy, how are you? Thanks for joining. Kabibi, you got an eye. Miss Taylor, you got an eye. Okay, so here's the deal. You guys. If you read in the invite, I said to all of you that I would be hopping over to Clubhouse. So to address any and all questions and hot seats. So if you have an iPhone, then I am going to invite you over to Clubhouse. And all you got to do is hop over there, and we are going to have a longer conversation, a more in-depth conversation about this credit and much more. If you don't, those of you who don't have an iPhone, because Clubhouse is right now just for us iPhone users, then I'm going to say, make sure you text me COVID to area code 805-506-4334. Myself or my team will reach out to you. Shanae, you had a question about how do you reach out for a consultation. I will put a link in the thread here for consultations. Please be clear. I want to be clear to all of you. Consultations are specifically not to get on the phone with me and ask me, how do you file a form? Okay, that's not a consultation. A consultation consists of me going through a couple of questions and really seeing if we are a fit for one another, to work with one another. It's not to get on the phone and ask me a question and then tell me you're going to see your tax person tomorrow. Okay, my time is valuable and your time is valuable. Time is money and money is time. And I take my business very serious to all of you. So if you would like a consultation, I don't have a problem with giving out consultations, but please be very mindful of your time as well as my time. Okay, so I will put a link out there if anyone is interested in a consultation with me. Someone from my team or myself will be more than happy to get you on the calendar and go over any questions that you may have. But please, I can't say it any clearer. Please be mindful of time. Time is money and money is time. And Some appointments I cancel. I'm just being very clear and very frank. Anybody who knows me know that I'm like that. So just be mindful of that. If you guys get on my calendar, please be respectful and please make sure that you come prepared. And if you set an appointment, keep an appointment. Okay? That's the truth of the matter. If you set an appointment, keep an appointment. Okay? So for those of you who would like to join me over on Clubhouse, I'm going to invite you over there because some friends of mine, we are going to carry this conversation on, and we're going to have an in-depth conversation on the credits, and that's your opportunity to shine and get your questions answered. Okay, so I invite you to jump over to Clubhouse where we're going to continue this conversation. If I did not answer any of your questions going through the thread, please text the word COVID to area code 805-506-4334. That way I can also reach out to you and see if you need a consultation. I will put my information in the thread here. I appreciate all of you guys jumping on this morning, this Saturday morning. It's early here on the East. Well, it's not really early on the West Coast because it's mid-morning. We're up. But for those of you on the East Coast, the South, and other states, I know it's noontime. So I encourage you guys to jump on over to Clubhouse. I'm at Cosette M. White. There's a link over there. I don't think I put it here. But let's carry this conversation on over on Clubhouse. In the meantime, I will place the thread so that you guys can reach out to me. I want you guys to have a great tax season. Make sure you have all of your documents when you head over to your tax professional. Make sure if you have any questions, ask them in advance. Save us some time, save us some headache, because we really want to make sure that we work hard to get you back the most and or reduce your tax liability. That's our goal for you guys. We really want to help you. So help us help you. All right. You guys have yourself an awesome and amazing day. I can't wait to talk to you guys on my next live. Take care. Bye-bye.